choose your hard. Fighting is hard. Abdicating is harder. Like you choose your hard. Bex?
Yeah, the only other thing I'd mention is that there are seasons, right?
Right.
And there are seasons when you're on the stretcher. Now, if your entire life is you're on the stretcher, you might have to ask the question, do I have a victim mentality, right? But there are seasons when you're on the stretcher, and there are other seasons when you're carrying your friends on their stretcher. And so if you are going through a huge battle, a health battle or something like that, it might be that you actually need your church family to stand around you and fight for you, and carry you on the stretcher and open up the roof and lower you down to the presence of God. If I'm referring to that story in the Bible where the four friends lower their friend on the stretcher through the roof to where Jesus so he can heal them. So there's seasons when you might be on the stretcher. I'm also thinking about in 1 Samuel 30 where David, they have everything stolen from them by the Amalekite raiders. And David strengthens himself in the Lord as the very first thing he does. And then he goes, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And God goes, you go and fight right now. You're going to chase them down. You're going to hunt them back. And God says, you're going to recover all. But there was a portion of his soldiers that were actually so weary and so exhausted that they actually couldn't keep going. And so David said, okay, you guys sit here by this brook. And the brook is called Besor, which means cheerful or good cheer. And so he goes, you stay here. And then they go and fight. And when they came back, they actually shared the spoils with their friends who were by the river. And so there's times and seasons. I would say that most of our life is a fighting time, right? There may be short seasons where you're in recovery, where you're, on the stretcher, where you're needing healing, you're needing to sit by the brook and for restoration. But the majority of your life still has to be that understanding that you are in a battle, that's just how it is. And because we have an enemy who hates us, right? So
good.
Yeah.
And to that point of like sitting by the brook, it's not just it's not just sitting and waiting. It's drinking from essentially the brook of good cheer in this place. Like it's actively being restored by the Holy Spirit, not just sitting and hoping that things get better. That sitting around watching Netflix ain't going to strengthen you and restore you. Right. It's pressing into God for the purposes of getting back on the field. I loved even Nat's point yesterday of like, heaven forbid our greatest testimony is that the hole in the roof is patched up. Like we don't get to the end of our days and go, geez, I'm glad I watched an extra series on Netflix. I get to the end of our days. I'm glad I shared the gospel. I'm glad I stepped out in faith. I'm glad I stood on principles of the word of the God for my children and for my children's children. Sitting back and abdicating is nothing to be proud of.
Yeah. Because the guys that sat by the brook didn't leave the army. They were still part of the army.